Okay, folks, this is DUI video 3. We're going to talk about the standard field sobriety exercises, also known as FSSTs. That's the way the officers are taught in the basic course they take in the academy. It's a 40-hour course. So what does an officer first ask you to do? After you exit the vehicle, he's made his observations of the vehicle in movement. He's made observations of you at the window of the vehicle or on your bicycle or on your motorcycle or golf cart or whatever. And now he believes that he has enough to ask you out of the vehicle. It's reasonable suspicion to begin a DUI investigation. We talked about in video 2. He usually needs a combination of 3 things to have reasonable suspicion. So now you're out of the vehicle. He's going to say to you, sir, I've made some observations, or ma'am, I've made some observations. And based on those observations, I think that there's a possibility that you may be impaired. I'd like to dispel that belief by offering to give you some field sobriety exercises. Would you like to do that? Well, first thing you should know, right, as a citizen driving a vehicle in the state of Florida, is you can decline to do the exercises. You can say, officer, respectfully, I appreciate what you're doing, but I'm not going to do those exercises. That is your right. However, if you exercise that right, you are definitely not 95%, not 96, 97, 98, 99, 100%, you will be arrested and will be brought down to the BAT facility, the breath and alcohol testing facility, jail, and be asked to give a breath alcohol test. So you have the right. If let's just say you refuse, then you get arrested. You'll be calling me the next morning, right? You'll be calling, looking for a DUI attorney who has focus, concentration, specialty area of DUI, someone like myself. But if you decide to do the exercises, what's the officer's first exercise? He's going to start out with something that's called the Horizontal Gaze Nystagmus. Big fancy medical term. What does it mean? He's going to check your eyes. Now, the HGN exercise is actually it's the best test or exercise the officer can give you. It's got the highest rate of accuracy when administered correctly. Let me be sure that you understand this, because officers love to spew this. State attorneys, prosecutors, they have a job to do. That they want to pull out this information. It's 88% accurate. Yes, if it's done in perfect clinical conditions, right? Well, what about cars driving by? What about noise? What about unlevel surfaces? What about someone who's swaying because they're in heels, or someone who's got some other medical impairment? Listen, it's 88% accurate when everything that the officer does is perfect and it's in perfect conditions. So is it really 88%? No. But is it the best test? It is the best test. Like I said, I've taken all these courses and I've examined people. We do what's called a wet lab. And we take a pen, we use the tip of a pen, I'm showing you a pen here, right, the tip of the pen, and we put that pen, and that's what the officer's going to do. That he's going to put that pen in front of your face, approximately 12 inches in front of your face, maybe about an inch over your eye level. And he's going to ask you to keep your hands at your side and to concentrate on the tip of his pen, right? Look, I want you to watch this pen. I don't want you to move. I don't want you to move your head at all. I want you to simply follow with your eyes. Do you understand? Yes. Would you like me to repeat that? If you say yes, he will repeat it. Then he's going to move the pen. He's going to follow your eyes. It's not going to give you every part of the HGN. What he's doing when that pen comes out to 45-degree angle, right? So I'm looking at that pen, and I'm going to get a little closer to you right now. Now, I haven't been drinking. It is late evening and I'm doing this video. I want to see if you can look at my eyes. Now, if I had a few beers, you'd be able to see. Now, if you see, I'm looking all the way over at approximately 45 degrees. Let me put the pen where it really would be, because it's supposed to be about 12 inches out and about an inch above my eyes, right? So if you're looking at my eyes, you would see, if someone was impaired, you'd see an involuntary jerking. I can't control it. Doesn't matter if I'm a fitness guru, if I go to CrossFit, if I'm a bodybuilder, if I'm a professional athlete. It's an involuntary action that your body, everybody's body, there's no exceptions. There's no one who's ever been like, oh, well, they're exempt on an HGN. If there's an involuntary jerking, right? Where's my pen over here? I can't ever see it. Where's my? I gotta get you on camera, right? If I'm looking, I can't do 45 degrees because it'll go out of my camera range. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that's 45 degrees. They're going to look to see if it's bouncing, right? They're also going to look. They're going to want to make sure first. They're going to test you to see if there's anything. Whether you have first, they're going to make sure that you have both pupils are the same size, right? Because if you have one pupil that's one size and one pupil that's another size, that could indicate a medical condition. And they're going to ask you whether or not you have any medical conditions that they should know about. Well, how are you supposed to know what they should know and what's going to affect their test? Because you're not trained in HGN, right? So most people go, no, I'm good. Because if someone asks me when I'm walking through court, hey, how you feeling? Oh, I'm great. My back could be broken. My foot could be swollen. I could have a crazy toothache or an earache, but no, I don't share all that. And it's normal that you don't share that. So, but I'm just telling you what they're looking for. So they're going to check your pupil size. After they check your pupil size, they're going to check to see if your eyes both go back and forth together. So if I'm looking like, okay, let me look in my camera for you. Let's make believe there's a pen there. I don't have a pen. So I'm looking left, I'm looking right, I'm following the pen. And he's going to do 2 passes. And he's going to be observing my eyes to make sure that both eyes, maybe I have a lazy eye, maybe one eye stays straight at the camera and one eye goes over to the left, right? Because you might have a natural nystagmus, right? You might have a lazy eye. He needs to make those observations. It's always nice when I have a client who actually has a lazy eye and the officer didn't pick it up and it's medically been diagnosed and there's a bunch of literature where my client is able to get me medical records and I'm able to show, and we already got a problem because he's not supposed to consider the test that there's a medical condition, right? So if you say to him, hey, I have TBI, traumatic brain injury, yeah, he's not really a candidate for HGN. However, when I make the objection, if the court allows it in, let's say he's DRE, he's a drug recognition expert, fancy word for a police officer who has a lot of training. Not only does he have the standard SFSTs, he has the ARIDE course, and then he has a DRE, which is, man, it's almost like going to medical school for a short time or optometry school. It really teaches a lot. So when you have a DRE expert, your attorney really has to be on his top game. So he does the exercise. He's looking for if your eyes follow correctly, right? If they're both following, they're tracking equally, is what the term is. And then he's looking. Then the next thing he's doing is he's looking to see. I wish I had an example. If I could, let's make believe this is a glass table right here in front of me, right? And if I had a marble and I pushed the marble over, and the glass was impeccably clean, right? The marble would slide straight towards you, correct? What if I just sprinkled a couple of light pieces of sand on it from the beach? But you could barely see it, right? But I rolled that ball. Well, that marble now might kind of jerk and kind of move like weird. It won't just go smoothly towards you, right? Well, that's what they're looking for. So these are part of the clues that they're looking for on HGN. If you observe 2 or more clues, right, that's it. There's no fail or pass. But an officer is taught that if you just fail that, guess what, folks? He can arrest you. He's got probable cause to arrest you. Now, do officers admit that? No. Even when the instructors that were teaching me were talking about that, they were going, but that's the reality. You fail the HGN, you're going to jail. I mean, that's the reality, so you guys need to know that. Again, you can refuse the exercises. However, it's not smart for an officer to just do HGN and say, oh, he did terrible on HGN, so I arrested him based on my other observations. No. The state, the government wants evidence against you. So what do? They go to the next, they can do VGN, vertical gaze nystagmus. That's more if they suspect drugs. If they don't see HGN, they usually do a VGN pass, which is they'll turn their pen sideways. I'm just going to give you an idea. They'll tell you to keep looking at the tip. They'll tell you to keep your head straight, not to move, not to turn your neck, right? You want to stand still, not to move, right? And to simply follow the tip of the pen. Then they're going to raise it approximately 12 inches or so, right? Until there's no more white in the bottom of the top of your eyes. And they're going to wait there 4 seconds. And then they're going to look and see if there's an involuntary jerking. That involuntary jerking, again, is what they're looking for. And that shows that there's some sort of drug in your system, or possibly a drug in your system. So it's vertical gaze nystagmus. Most officers don't do it, even though they are trained to do it. It's usually DRE officers, drug recognition experts, that do that test. But it could be done to you, so you have an idea what it is. All right, so the next thing they're going to do, so let's see. What are some of the things that they're looking for? Obviously, I just told you there's some clues that they're looking for, but the police officer, let's see, everything you do, the officer's watching. Keep that in mind. Everything you do, the officer's watching you. When you're standing there doing the HGN, he wants to see if you can hold your balance. Are you swaying, right? Even though that's not a clue, and that's actually kind of invalidates the test if you're swaying, because he can't really look at your eyes properly if you're moving all around like, a topsy-turvy, right? So he wants to make sure that you're following directions, that you put your hands to the side, that you're not moving your head. Oftentimes in police reports, I always see, I had to repeat myself, the defendant the defendant kept moving his head, although I instructed him not to, although he said that he or she said that they understood the instructions, she or he kept, turning their head to follow the tip of my pen. All right. So what's the next exercise? Geez, I didn't even write these down. Obviously, I know them. So the next exercise is the walk and turn exercise. So the officer is going to stand at a 45-degree angle to you. 45-degree angle to you. And he's going to stand in what's called the instructional stance. He's going to put one foot in front of the other, and he's going to stand there. He's going to put his hands to the side. As he's doing that, he's going to say, I want you to put your foot in front of the other foot. I want you to put your heel touching your toe, meaning like heel to toe, right? I want you to put your hands down at your side. I don't want you to begin until I tell you. Do you understand? He's going to continuously ask you, do you understand? Right? Because that's part of the instructions. Now, do officers always do that? No. Does that go to the weight of the evidence? Yes. Have I recently had a great case that I had in another county where I was going to argue that and filed a 20-page motion? Yes. But you don't want to get arrested, folks, right? It's great that I know a lot about DUIs, but hopefully you never need me. Hopefully you read this, or you sit and you watch this video blog and you go, oh, okay, like these are some of the things that they're going to look for. So he's going to ask you to stand in that position. Now it takes him about, I don't know, a minute. So it's very weird to stand like this, right? Left foot in front of right foot. Right foot in front of left foot. With your hands like this, because we're all top heavy, right? Our top part of our body tends to be bigger than the bottom half. So no one stands like this. No one stands with their foot directly unless you're like a gymnast and you're walking on a balance beam. Obviously, they don't give you this test when you get your driver's license to see if you can do it. And listen, folks, a lot of people can't do it. However, it is evidence of impairment, and there's studies on it. And I think, let's try to give you the quick, let's see, divided attention. I forgot which one, the walk and number steps. Okay, so the walk and turn is 79% according to stats. Well, yes, they want to tell you if you do all these tests together and the officer does it in perfect conditions, how accurate these tests are, or these exercises as they stay in South Florida, Miami, Broward, Palm Beach. They call them exercises. The court doesn't allow them to call them tests. But then they're going to explain to you, the officer is going to demonstrate the exercise. Now, he's standing at 45 degrees to you. Why is he doing that? His holster, whether he's right-handed or left-handed, it should be on the opposite side of you if he's trained correctly, right? Because as he starts to walk a few steps, you could reach and grab his gun and shoot him, right? So they're taught to stand at a 45-degree angle to you with their holster on the opposite side of you, right? For safety reasons. So the officer is going to say, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then he's going to say, okay, and so on until 9. I'm only going to demonstrate 4 steps. Then he's going to say, I want you to take a series of small steps, turning around, and he's going to demonstrate it. And then he's going to walk back 4 steps. He's going to say, do you understand? Do you understand that you're going to be walking 9 steps, doing that turn, and coming back? Do you understand that? Yes. He's already told you, don't start until I've told you to begin. Well, how many people, as they're learning something, if I start teaching you a dance, now I can't dance, so I probably won't teach anyone how to dance, but if someone who could dance was teaching you how to dance, as they're doing the step, right, you're probably going to do it with them, right? You know, monkey see, monkey do. You're going to mimic, right? That's how we get better at things, by doing reps. Well, guess what? In a DUI investigation, when you're doing the walk and turn, you only get one shot. One shot. He doesn't let you practice a few times. He's done it hundreds, thousands of times, but you get one shot to learn the dance. One shot to learn the walk and turn. So he's going to say, do you understand? And he's going to use it against you, because if you turn the wrong way, if you take the incorrect number of steps, if you miscalculate, remember your feet are standing like this, if you count this step already as one instead of this one as one, right, he's going to say that you improperly counted. Obviously, I can explain a lot of that away in a motion or in a trial. However, again, we don't want to go there. Do you want to spend 10, 15 grand with me? You probably don't. I'm worth it when you get arrested. But keep in mind, if you are arrested for DUI and you want to fight the battle, you're going to spend some money. So let's try to avoid the DUI. Let's try to Uber. Let's try to do that. But that's an aside. The walk and turn exercise is going to have you walk the 9 steps, turn around, come back. Sometimes the officer's sitting there right there with his pad. If he has his camera on, he may not, but a lot of them just hold their pad in there and they make notes. Why are they making notes? Well, on the 4th step, his heels weren't, his feet weren't heel to toe, meaning the front of this foot didn't touch the back of this foot, or he stepped off the line. Now, sometimes they use an imaginary line. Like you see it, you know what, I got to change that part of the video. Look at that. I forgot. Look at this. I'm a dumb. That's the HGN, guys. You see how great I am at audio video. Good thing I'm very good at DUI. So this is the pen that I was talking about that I was making my own thing about. So that's the HGN. And then I think I have, all right, so that's the pen. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but that officer, I can just tell by the picture, he's improperly administering the HGN. How can I tell that? Because I'm an instructor for NHTSA. That is not the required distance. And you see it, like, see the tip of the pen? I don't know if you can see, I'm kind of using my mouse over it here. It's not an inch above his eye level. It's actually right at eye level, because that looks like his eyebrow to me. So I think that this tip of this pen should actually be up here. So that's that one. All right, let's go to the next one. Sorry, I suck at video stuff. There's your HGN. Well, the good thing about this video is I couldn't tell whether it was the one leg stand, which we'll talk about in a moment, or if it was the walk and turn. Because he's standing at a 45 degree to him, and if you see his weapon is on the right side, that leads me to believe that perhaps that's a trained officer. However, what it also leads me to believe is, you see the surface right here? You see the rocks, and it looks like a credit card, and looks like a $5 bill or something on the ground, and you see it's uneven. Those are all things. It's supposed to be an even, flat surface, devoid, right, free of any debris. Well, rocks and stuff are filled with debris. The guy also has flip-flops on. An officer should give you the option of taking your shoes off or wearing them. Obviously, it's going to be a little harder to do this exercise with flip-flops on, right? Because heel to toe, right? I mean, a little better if you have a closed-toe shoe so you don't stub your toe as you do it. Well, you would never, a well-trained officer would never give this walk and turn exercise on this. So these are things that your attorney is looking for. He's making notes. Now, what I do see is the officer's timing. So I don't know what exercise he's doing. That gentleman could be doing the steps and walking the 9 steps and making the turn and coming back, or he could be doing what's referred to as the one leg stand, which we're going to talk about in a second. So things that the officer is going to look for in the walk and turn. The first thing he's going to look for is whether or not you can maintain the instructional stance. Remember I said whether or not you can stand like that. No one stands like that. If the officer has a stutter or talks slow or has an accent, he might have to repeat a couple times. You'll be standing there forever. It's important because he's going to go, he fell out of the instructional stance, was unable to maintain the instructional stance. Yes, folks, that's a clue, right? He's going to determine whether you stay in that stance and whether or not you start too soon, right? Remember I told you that's one of the issues that he's looking for. Did you start too soon? Then he's going to say, did you walk heel to toe? Babe, did you miss? Did you do the correct number of steps? He's looking for clues. Did you do a proper turn? Did you spin like a ballerina? Did you turn the right way? Well, it kind of depends on which foot you started off and whether you counted whether it's an incorrect turn or not. So there are factors that the officer is looking for on the walk and turn, and he's going to list every one of them. And included in that is whether or not you followed instructions. No, that's not a clue, but that is an observation that the courts treat like a clue, even though it's not a clue. All right, so the one-leg stand. You have a picture here. It looks like it's a one-leg stand. What is a one-leg stand? You start off with putting your feet together, hands by your side, right? He's going to, and the officer's going to demonstrate, he's going to lift his foot, and he's going to lift it at a 45 degrees. So here's the ground, right? Just like that guy's foot is. See how that guy's foot is in the video, right? Now, that looks a little short. It's supposed to be about 8 inches off the ground, right? So 6 to 8 inches. So his foot is flat. Maybe that's 5 inches. I don't know. It's hard to tell because the ground sort of, is angled. But he's going to ask you to count, keeping your hands to the side. You see in the picture here, see how this gentleman's hands are to the side. If I lifted my hands up by my side, right, that would be an issue. If I started hopping on one foot, that would be another issue, another clue, right? If I didn't follow the directions, if I kept putting my foot down. So what he's going to tell you during the instructions, he's going to say, I'm going to ask you to put your hands by your side, feet together. Right? And he doesn't want your feet like this together. He wants your feet like this together. A lot of people stand like this. It's like duck feet or something, but he's going to want you to stand like this, right? Hands, feet together, hands by your side, okay? He's going to ask you to raise your foot approximately 6 to 8 inches off the ground. He says approximately the size of a can, right? A soda can, right? So what is that, 6 inches, right? So then he's going to ask you to count 1001, 1002, 1003. And continue counting, sir or ma'am, until I tell you to stop. Do you understand? Again, we don't want to start too soon, right? But now he's going to be making observations. Are you swaying more than 6 inches? Are you raising your hands? Are you hopping on foot? Do you forget how to count? Do you go 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 9 1,000, 6 1,000? I recently had a DUI and the guy was doing that. So he's making observations. Every second that officer is with you, he's supposed to be watching you, making observations so he can note them in his report. The more detailed his report is, the more difficult it is for us to win. So what do we count on? Officers that slept during the DUI training, officers who think they know it all, officers who think that because they said you're DUI, that you're DUI. An arrogant, obnoxious, all-knowing officer is probably the best officer I can have on the stand because during cross-examination, I get to point out everything that he did. And if you can see the DUI books, I mean, each DUI book is probably, I don't know, a couple hundred pages, 300-400 pages. Instructor manual is even larger. And there's so many things. I'm only giving you the basics, folks, because I want you to understand what the officers are looking for during the DUI investigation. Right? So I just walked you through the 3 standardized tests, right? The HGN, right? We showed that picture. Let's go back to it. Right? The HGN test, right? The pen test, he's checking your eyes. And then I'm using the same picture for the walk and turn and for the one-leg stand. You're either walking 9 steps, making it a turn, coming back 9 steps, or the next step, the one-leg stand, is you're holding your foot up and you're counting. And just so you know, the officer's usually going to have you count to about 30. Well, 30 seconds he's supposed to be estimating, but that's usually to 19 1,000, 20 1,000, usually around there. I've had officers go all the way up to 30. It's crazy, but that's not what the training says. So keep in mind, you're going to be doing it for about 30 seconds, which none of us are exact with our counts. So you're probably going to count somewhere between 20 seconds, 25 seconds, something like that. Okay, so those are the standardized field sobriety exercises. Those are the ones that are recognized. Just to go over the numbers, you would think I'd have them memorized, but of course I don't. The walk and turn is, let's see, one of them's 79 and one of them's 83. The one leg stand is 83% accurate when the officer's doing it correctly. All right. We'll go to the next video.